It's time for Justice for the People with Pastor Charles Bennett. Justice for the People, exploring issues involving corruption and injustices in the Tri-Cities. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and Pastor Bennett, and not necessarily those of the moderator, management, staff, or advertisers of WHAP. Here now is Pastor Charles Bennett and Justice for the People.
Is that what you're experiencing? Has something changed since 9/11 in your estimation, Allie?
Well, no, I don't think it was 9/11 that did it. This has been coming on for about 30 years.
30 years? You take it back 30 years.
Oh, at least. At least. I think Kennedy was the last decent president that we had.
But Kennedy was a Democrat, so you're not really pro-Democrat or pro-Republican.
Oh, no,
you're pro-person, the person and their philosophy and what they stand for.
Exactly. And
that's what most of the people that I'm meeting people that when every person I've met involved in this tax T-Day or T-Tax Day or whatever it's called, I'm meeting them and they're saying the feeling that I get is we don't care what party they're running in. We want to know if they're for us, the people, and if they're going to work for us, or if they're just going to get elected and just do what they want to do.
Well, if you go back to the beginning of this country, George Washington was given the opportunity to basically become the king of America, and he turned it down. He said there is no royalty in this country, but we have people that are sitting in the Senate and in the Congress. They've been there 30, 35 years. That's not what
they're royalty.
Well, Kennedy, he's royalty now. Yeah. The Queen just made him
she knighted him. That's right. You're talking about Edward Kennedy.
Yes.
And so we have this this total philosophy. These congressmen and our local House of Representatives people, they don't represent us.
No, they represent their own wallets.
They all represent what they want and what's best for them.
And they'll do for anybody that gives them the most money. So when that magnificent stimulus bill was passed, Nancy Pelosi's little salt marsh mouse now has the money it needs so that people can watch it play in the sand.
Yeah, and that's the grand giveaway. But on the small side of things, we have a sheriff here in Hopewell that decides to paint a car the wrong color. It's illegal. What he did was illegal. And he runs around the city with a blue police car that was totally legal, but instead of backing up and say, you know, I made a mistake, I think we ought to repaint that thing, it goes to Mr. Ingram and says, why don't we just change the law? Yeah, let's just change the law. So they change the law so they can keep the car blue. Yeah, change the law just for one sheriff deputy, because one sheriff deputy wants to run around here and write tickets up on 295. How is that helping our city by writing tickets on 295? It's helping us raise money. There it is. The people, I look at every person that I see now as a politician, I look at Jeff with a G and I say, you know, if I just say the right things to him, he may give me $1,000 for my campaign.
You're dreaming.
I'm dreaming. But you know, Jeff, that's the way people are looking at us. They're looking at us. They're piranha. They're vultures. They're eating away at every single thing we have, so that we don't have a snowball's chance of having life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What's the other things you've got on your list here?
Well, the 12 values, Glenn's 12 values.
This is Glenn Beck.
Yes, this still goes to the 912ers.
Okay, 912ers.
And the 12 values are honesty, reverence, hope, thrift, humility, charity, sincerity, moderation, hard work, courage, personal responsibility, and gratitude.
That's it.
And they run along with Benjamin Franklin's virtues. He lived by those on a daily basis.
Okay.
He kept a booklet, and every week he would change. One week he would watch his temperance, and he'd monitor it. And then the next week it would be silence, and he'd keep track until eventually these became part of his everyday life.
Wow.
He would do it for 1 week. So every 13 weeks he would start the whole rotation over again. So the rotation would go through 4 times per year.
Benjamin Franklin did that.
Yes.
Wow. And you know, they didn't tell me about that in our history books.
And if they told you about Benjamin Franklin in history books, they would have told them about any of his quotes, which would have totally thrown this administration.
They make Benjamin Franklin out to be an atheist, and yet he was a great friend to what was that? The great orator's name started with a W. Forget what his name was now, but
You're not talking about Patrick Henry.
No, he was a great preacher, and
Woolsey?
No, not Woolsey. But anyway, Benjamin Franklin was a great friend of the greatest orator that ever came through Americas, and the guy actually went back and forth. If Curtis Butterworth was here, he would tell us the name of him again. And George Whitefield. And Benjamin Franklin really helped promote George Whitefield, and though Benjamin Franklin never answered an altar call like we have religious folk, you know, we want to see people walk down an aisle. Sometimes I say that the people walk down the aisle and shake a donkey's tail, and then that makes them, you know, a Christian, you know. But that's really not what it's all about, folks. It's about, you know, I'd rather see somebody take these 13 virtues and every 13 weeks live by one of them and really trying to be a Christian. I meet people that are more Christian than the people that I have in church, and their lives are a testimony to being everything that God would ever want anybody to be. But on the other side of the coin, we have today people with mean spirits running our country, and that's what's happening. And if you don't believe that, just go down and try to deal with those people downtown in any office. I don't care what office it is. Just go down there and ask them a question. Ask a police officer, do I really have to do that, sir? You know, like we talked about the guy in the TSA, where they were telling him that he couldn't, they'd have to count his money. He was working for Ron Paul. And he said, well, do I really have to let you do that? And they said, well, you're being smart now. No, I'm asking you an honest question. You question an officer the next time he tells you something, and he will put you, he'll put you in handcuffs. So that's the point. They don't want to be questioned. Now, we've got another commercial break. When we get back, we're going to talk more about this rally that's going to be going on in Richmond on this coming Wednesday, 2 days from now. And every single person that's concerned about the taxes of our nation and the moral compass that we've lost our way, if you're concerned about how we've lost our moral compass in this nation, you need to be up there in Richmond at the Federal Reserve Bank building this coming Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. at 8th and Main Street, the T-Tax party down up there in Richmond. More right after these messages.
6 to 8, you big doofus.
This is what's cooking.
It's 7 o'clock. I don't care. We'll correct it. I thought it was 7 o'clock.
You keep
No,
saying
you're going to be there.